So good morning once again, dear students of class 9 and also the revising students of class 10. Now let us continue with Act 2, Scene 5. And as you can see on your screen, I have taken the text from the internet. So you can follow from your textbook, and we will start from page 62 in your textbook. So please take out page 62 and please observe that there is an introduction given on top of this page. So I'll just give you a briefing about the introduction first, and then we will proceed with the text of the play. So I'm reading out from the textbook which you have, so please follow. This scene has a dramatic irony. Shylock trusts his deceitful daughter with his possessions while she is making plans to betray him. We already know that Jessica is planning to elope or run away with the man she loves, that is Lorenzo. And Shylock is not inclined to attend the dinner hosted by Bassanio, but ultimately he decides to go to have the meal at the expense of a prodigal Christian. Now you already know what the word prodigal means. Prodigal is one who wastes, one who does not know how to preserve and keep, but one who is a spendthrift, one who spends money like anything and wastes his funds. So he wants to go and he wants to attend this dinner and eat the food at the expense of Bassanio, the prodigal. He fears that all is not well and gives instructions to Jessica to lock and guard his house. Lancelot reveals to Jessica Lorenzo's plans for eloping at night. Elope means to run away with one's lover. So that is what the word elope means. So eloping, the plan for elopement is discussed between Jessica and Lancelot. We are shown Jessica at home with her father's trust in her, which further heightens her betrayal. So basically this is a scene where we see a daughter betraying her father. So let us see now on your screen you have the text, enter Shylock the Jew, and here it's given as Lancelot. Don't be confused, it's the same as Lancelot. And let us see what happens. It is happening inside Shylock's house. So Shylock is saying, well, thou shalt see. Thy eyes shall be thy judge, the difference of old Shylock and Bassanio. What, Jessica? Thou shalt not gormandize as thou hast done with me. What, Jessica? So you see what is happening here is Shylock is calling out to his daughter Jessica from time to time while talking to Lancelot. So he's saying, well, you will see for yourself. With your own eyes you will be able to see and you will be able to judge the difference between this man, old Shylock, he refers to himself, and Bassanio, the person whose service you have joined now. What, Jessica? Hey, Jessica. He's calling out to his daughter, hey, Jessica. And then he's saying, thou shalt not gormandize. Gormandize means to overeat. So you will not get the scope of overeating when you are working under Bassanio. So thou shalt not gormandize. Meaning is given. You can see overeating. And then he says, as thou hast done with me. So with me, as long as you were in my service, you would overeat and you would just do whatever you felt like. But then you won't be able to do that when you join Bassanio's service. What, Jessica? Once again he calls out, hey, Jessica. And sleep and snore and rend apparel out. And you will not be able to sleep and snore away like you have been doing in my service. While you were working for me, most of the time you would be sleeping, you would be snoring away, and you would be just wearing out your clothes. So apparel means garments. So you won't be able to rend apparel. See, the meaning is given. That is, wear holes in your clothes. Wear out your clothes quickly. So while you were in my service, you required new clothes every other day because you would spoil the previous ones. So you won't get that scope when you are working for Bassanio. Why, Jessica, I say? Once again he calls out to Jessica. Jessica is not responding. 3 times father has called. So Lancelot calls out together with Shylock. Why, Jessica? And Shylock becomes angry when he hears Lancelot calling out. Who bids thee call? I did not bid thee call. Who asked you to call her? I never asked you to call her. Lancelot, your worship was wont to tell me I could do nothing without bidding. Well, my master you would often tell me that I could never do anything without being told to do so. So I thought I should try and see if I can do something without being told to do so. That's why I called out to her. So at that very moment, Jessica enters. And Jessica says, "Call you, what is your will?" So are you calling me? What is it that you want? So Shylock says, "I am bid forth to supper, Jessica. There are my keys." So I have been invited. I have been called for supper, Jessica. So supper is food taken at night. So it's kind of dinner party. So he says that I have to go. Now here are the keys of my cupboards and my lockers. So I just want to give you the keys before I go. Here are my keys. So there are my keys. But wherefore should I go? I am not bid for love. But then why should I go? I have not been called out of love. Now Shylock is always conscious of the fact that he is a Jew, and because he is a Jew, the Christians don't treat him well. And now that they are inviting him, calling him for supper, it's not because they love him, but because they have a reason for it. Because they have to borrow money from Shylock. So Shylock also knows that. So he says, they flatter me. These Christians, they are trying to flatter me. But yet, I'll go in hate to feed upon the prodigal Christian. Yet I will go, even if I have hatred in my heart for these Christians, still I'll go and I'll feed at the expense of this wasteful prodigal Christian. Jessica, my girl, look to my house. So when I'm gone, while I am away from here, Jessica, my girl, my daughter, please look after my house. I am right loath to go. I really don't want to go. I hate to go. Loath means to hate. I really dislike or hate to go. There is some ill brewing towards my rest, for I did dream of money bags tonight. So he says that there is something happening. I think there is something bad which is about to happen in my life, because when I was sleeping this night, I dreamt of money bags, and that is a dream which normally indicates that you're going to lose your money. So I dreamt of money bags tonight, and I think that there is something bad or evil gradually developing against me, maybe behind my back. So I think I have to be cautious, I have to be careful, because I am going to lose money because I have dreamt of money bags. Launcelot says, I beseech you, sir, go. My young master doth expect your reproach. Now Launcelot, as usual, makes mistake. Instead of approach, he says reproach. I do request you, sir, please go, because my young master, my new master, meaning Bassanio, is expecting your arrival. Instead of saying approach, he says reproach. And reproach means to scold someone. So the meaning of the sentence completely changes, because if somebody is expecting your scoldings and somebody is expecting your arrival, these are two completely different things. So anyway, Launcelot adds humor. Earlier he called out to Jessica and Shylock scolded him and the audience laughed. And now he says reproach instead of approach. And once again you can expect that the audience watching the performance of this play will roar in laughter. Shylock says, so do I his. Yes, even I do expect his reproach. Well, he takes the literal meaning of the word reproach. So here the meaning is explained in your textbook. I'm reading out from there. All of you, please look at your textbook on page 63. Alongside this particular line, there is this explanation. So do I his. I expect his reproach. Shylock takes the word reproach literally. Shylock knows how Bassanio will reproach him if the scheme against Antonio succeeds. So he knows very well that if his scheme, if his plan, evil design which he has made is successful, if Antonio is not able to pay back, then definitely Bassanio will have reason to shout at Shylock for having got Antonio into trouble. So that is what Shylock means to say when he says, even I expect him to lose his temper on me. Launcelot says, and they have conspired together. I will not say you shall see a mask, but if you do, then it was not for nothing that my nose fell a-bleeding on Black Monday last at 6 o'clock in the morning. Falling out that year on Ash Wednesday was 4 year in the afternoon. Now this is complete nonsense. The meaning is once again explained in your textbook. So let's go with the explanation given in your textbook. All of you look at the textbook once again. See, here it is said, conspired together. That is, they have set up a masquerade. But for the audience who know of the conspiracy against Shylock, that is Jessica's elopement, the words have a significance of which Lancelot himself is unconscious. It is, in fact, an instance of dramatic irony. So William Shakespeare kind of introduces a kind of dramatic irony at this point in the play when he makes his character Lancelot say that they have conspired together. What he had actually meant to say was that they have planned together, but conspiracy and planning are two different things. Conspiracy is no doubt planning, but then it's an evil plan. And as we know, Lancelot always misuses words. So he uses the word conspired instead of planned together. And that is where the irony lies, because truly there is a conspiracy going on behind Shylock's back, because one of Bassanio's friends, Lorenzo, a Christian, is planning to elope with Shylock's daughter, Jessica. So, I will not say you shall see a mask. Now, Lancelot cannot keep secrets, but he reveals the fact that there is going to be a mask that evening. And what is a mask? A mask is a masquerade or a kind of show or celebration which happens in the streets. You know, people dress up just like Halloween, when people deck themselves up with costumes and they are not recognizable, and then they come out and they have parties and things like that. A masquerade is somewhat like that. It's like a carnival but much smaller, and what happens is people, they wear costumes and they hide their true identities. They may paint their faces, they may wear different costumes, and it is generally organized in the evening. People come out, these people who take part in the mask, they come out into the streets and they move through the streets together, celebrating, playing music, and there are torch bearers who hold burning flames, because in those days there was no electricity. So these torch bearers would light up the street and make the participants visible. And the commoners or the common people would gather on two sides of the street and watch the masquerade and clap and cheer for the participants. So this is how the masquerade was organized. So Lancelot, in a way, kind of gives this information to Shylock that there is going to be a masquerade. And then he says, if you happen to see a masquerade, I will not tell you that you are going to see a mask, but in case if you do, then I must say that it was not for nothing that my nose started bleeding on Black Monday, on the last Black Monday at 6 o'clock in the morning. And that year, falling out that year on Ash Wednesday was fourth year in the afternoon. So what he means to say is that Black Monday fell on Ash Wednesday. That was a kind of a rare combination of two special days in the Christian calendar. And 6 o'clock in the morning on the day of Black Monday, which was actually on Ash Wednesday, my nose started bleeding. And that was the indication or the omen or the sign that told me that there is going to be a mask. So you can understand how meaningless, how nonsensical all this is. And then the concept of Black Monday needs to be understood here, and Ash Wednesday also. It's given in your textbook. Now, Lancelot's speech has a comic effect. Shakespeare is ridiculing the practice of prophesying by omens. Omens are signs. So if you are superstitious, you see a black cat cross your path and you decide that that was the sign of ill luck or bad luck, so I should not move out of my house. So that's called an omen. Okay. So Shakespeare lived in an era when all these superstitions were very much in practice in England. So you can see him writing about such things. Now, what Lancelot is saying is full of inconsistencies. My nose are bleeding. The explanation is given here. An unexpected bleeding of the nose was considered an omen to indicate either something wonderful would happen or that misfortune would follow. So it could be good or bad. And then Black Monday and Ash Wednesday, let's see. Black fog. So there is a reference to Black Monday. Monday following Easter. The Monday which comes following Easter. Now Easter is supposed to be the festival to celebrate the resurrection of Christ. After Christ was crucified, he came back to life on the day of Easter. So according to the Holy Bible, if you follow, that is what is meant by resurrection. That is coming back to life, rising from the dead, you could say. So Black Monday comes. Maybe the Monday which comes after Easter is called Black Monday. Now Lancelot plays on Shylock's superstitious nature by referring to the Easter Monday of 1360. Now that was the year, in the year 1360, when Edward III's army, King Edward III's army was caught in the black fog and cold outside Paris. Paris is the capital of France. Many soldiers froze to death. Hence, it is known as the Black Monday. So that gives it the name of Black Monday. So he's referring to the specific Monday that comes after Easter, and he's referring to that particular year of 1360. And what historical event had happened? Well, it was not really an event, it was an incident, that there was this black polluted fog and terrible cold just outside Paris, and King Edward's army was marching to Paris to conquer France, and the soldiers died because of the extreme weather conditions. Now that is for Black Monday. Now let's see what is Ash Wednesday. Ash Wednesday, the first day of Lent. Lent is a Christian month. On this day, people put ashes on their forehead to remind them that man was made from dust and he shall return to dust. Lent is a period of prayer and penance. Penance means you undergo self-suffering of some sort, and you try to do this in preparation for Easter. Okay, so it is absurd. Now comes the absurdity or inconsistency of what Lancelot has said just now. He has said in his speech that particular Black Monday fell on Ash Wednesday, which is impossible. As it is, you can make out easily that Monday and Wednesday cannot fall on the same day. So he says Black Monday fell on Ash Wednesday. Now, absurdity is discussed here. It is absurd of Lancelot to talk of Easter Monday and Ash Wednesday falling at the same time. There is a period of 40 days between them. So the period of Lent is that of 40 days, and the first day of Lent is Ash Wednesday, and people spend 40 days, Christian people, they spend 40 days of penance and prayers, and after that they celebrate Easter. Then comes Easter. So Ash Wednesday is followed by Easter, and so Ash Wednesday and Easter Monday cannot be the same. So he mixes up everything and he talks all nonsense. So audience will laugh when they hear him speak like this. And what is his logic? That particular year, Black Monday fell on Ash Wednesday, and 6 o'clock in the morning, my nose started bleeding. And then he says, was 4 afternoon. Here also there is inconsistency. What does he mean? In the same speech, Lancelot says that this event took place last year. Then he says that it happened 4 years ago. First he says that it happened in the morning, and then he says that it happened in the afternoon. So Ash Wednesday was 4 years in the afternoon. So that is what it stands for. So anyway, don't get all clogged up in your brain because of such remarks and comments made by Lancelot, because he is basically a clown. His job is to add humor and to make the audience laugh. So from there we move on to the continuation of Shylock's speech. Shylock, when he realizes or learns from what Lancelot has said just now, he says, "What? Are there masks? Hear you me, Jessica. Hear you me, Jessica. What? You mean to say that there is going to be a masquerade? Hey, Jessica, listen to me. Lock up my doors, and when you hear the drum and the vile squealing of the wry-necked fife, clamber not you up to the casements then." So when you hear the sound of the drum in the street outside, first and foremost, Jessica, listen to me. Lock up my doors. There should be no door open. My house should be completely sealed off from the sound outside in the street. Those Christians, when they celebrate their own festival, I don't want the sound to enter my house. So lock up my doors. And when you hear the nasty squealing of the wry-necked fife. Now, wry-necked fife is again explained here. You can see in your textbook it's given. A small flute having a curved mouthpiece like a bird's beak. Hence the description wry-necked or crooked-necked. So it has, from where you blow into it, imagine a flute, and then the point from where you blow into the flute is bent like the beak of a bird. So that is why it's called wry-necked, that is bent-necked fife. Fife is a flute. So when you hear the sound of that musical instrument, what he means to say to his daughter is that when you hear the sound of that musical instrument, don't clamber up, don't clumsily climb up upon the casements. Casements are windows. Door, first of all, keep the doors locked. And when you hear the music outside in the street, don't climb up on the windows, nor thrust your head into the public street to gaze on Christian fools with varnished faces. And you should also not thrust your head outside the window into the public street outside to gaze or look at the faces of those Christian fools who will obviously have colored faces. Varnished faces refers to colored faces. But stop my house's ears, I mean my casements. So not only my doors, also the windows. Make sure that you shut the windows too. I don't want such kind of sound to enter my house. So close my house's ears, meaning the windows. Let not the sound of shallow foppery enter my sober house. I don't want that the sound of such cheap celebration should enter and spoil the sober environment of my house. By Jacob's staff, by the stick of Jacob, you remember Jacob. I swear in the name of Jacob's staff, I have no mind of feasting forth tonight. I have already lost interest about going and having dinner or supper tonight at Bassanio's place. But I'll go. Go you before me, Sirrah, say I will come. But anyway, I'll go. You go ahead of me, fellow. You fellow, referring to Lancelot. And tell them that I'll come. I'll join them. Lancelot, I'll go before, sir, aside to Jessica. Okay, sir, I'll go before you and inform them. And then he moves aside and he speaks to Jessica, which Shylock is not able to hear. Mistress, look out at window for all this. There will come a Christian by, will be worth a Jewess's eye. He says, make sure you look out of the window. Even if your father tells you not to look out, make sure you look out, because if you look out, you will see a particular Christian coming this way, and it will be worth the eyes of a Jewess like you. Meaning that you will be able to see Lorenzo whom you love. And saying this, he leaves, he exits. And Shylock has observed Lancelot saying something privately to Jessica. So Shylock is asking his daughter, what says that fool of Hagar's offspring, huh? What was that fool, the offspring of Hagar? telling you? Huh? Now Hagar, again the reference is given here. You can have a look. Jacob's stuff and Hagar. So according to the Old Testament, the Gentiles, the people despised by the Jews, were supposed to have been descended from Hagar, the slave woman who was made to Abraham's wife Sarah. The Jews trace their line back to Sarah. Lancelot, the servant, is said to have descended from Hagar. So it's a curse word, you could say. If somebody is called the Hagar's offspring, then it is actually a curse. So he just curses him and says, what was he telling you? And Jessica says, his words were, farewell, mistress, nothing else. Well, he was just saying goodbye to me, nothing else. Shylock says, the patch is kind enough, but a huge feeder. Oh, he was saying farewell to you. Okay, he's a kind fellow. No doubt. This patch means a parasite. He's a parasitic fellow, but he's kind enough. But the problem with him is that he eats a lot. Snail slow in profit, and he sleeps by day more than the wild cats. And he's very slow as a snail in matters of profitable business or activities. And he sleeps during the daytime more than a wildcat does. Drones hive not with me. I don't keep drones in my service. Drones are those bees which do not do any work. The male bees are the ones who live in the hive, but they don't go out to collect honey. They don't do any work, and they are called the drones. So drones don't hive with me. Therefore I part with him, and part with him to one that I would have him help to waste his borrowed purse. So I have parted with this fellow, and I have parted with this fellow for that fellow, so that he can go and join the service of that fellow who has a borrowed purse, referring to Bassanio, because his money is not his money, he has borrowed it. And if he keeps a servant like Lancelot, his borrowed purse will soon become empty. Well, Jessica, go in. Perhaps I'll return immediately. Well, Jessica, go inside the house now. Maybe I'll come back within a short time. Do as I bid you. Shut doors after you. Do as I tell you. Close and shut all the doors. Once you go inside the house, fast bind, fast find. So he refers to a proverb. He says, the one who binds up tightly is always able to hold on to his wealth. So if you hold on or bind up your wealth properly, then you will always be able to find it. So a proverb never stale in thrifty mind. So a proverb which never goes bad in the mind of a person who thinks about making profits. Saying this, Shylock leaves the scene. Now Jessica is all alone, and this is the concluding remark of Jessica. Farewell. And if my fortune be not crossed, I have a father, you a daughter lost. Goodbye, Dad. And if my good luck is not spoiled or ruined by events or happenings, then I must say this, that I have lost a father and you have lost a daughter forever. Saying this, Jessica leaves the stage and the scene comes to an end. So we have finished with Act 2, Scene 5. So that's the end of Act 2, Scene 5. Thank you.